All right, well, welcome to the 2019 Emergency Solutions Grant webinar. My name is Connie Malavia, and I am the ESG NOFA Program Manager. I'd like to introduce to you today our 2019 ESG NOFA representatives, Jeanette Shockey and Jamie Dix, and they will be presenting today for you.
Thank you. I would like to establish the ground rules for our webinar today. We will take questions in writing. Please use the chat balloon icon located at the bottom of your screen and type your questions in this box. Please wait to type your questions until we get to the question slide at the end of each section. Everyone will be on mute. If we are not able to answer your questions due to time constraints, or if we need to further research your question, we will answer them in the FAQs. FAQs will be posted to our website soon. The administrative entities are responsible for awarding state ESG funds to eligible service providers for ESG-eligible activities in their approved COC service areas. The selection process must be similar to HCD's, that is fair and open, illustrates that a selection process was advertised and technical assistance was provided to those that applied. Again, refer to your state ESG regulations, section 8403. The provider selection process should utilize data and considers community input to identify unmet needs. Prioritizes activities that address the highest unmet need, considering other available funding and system-wide performance measures. Considers project-level performance measures when evaluating proposals and collaborates with the COC. A minimum of 40% of the funds must be awarded to rapid rehousing, and the balance remaining can be awarded to emergency shelter, street outreach, and homeless prevention, and a maximum of 10% for HMIS. Again, the administrative entity must allocate 40% of their ESG funds for rapid rehousing. Each administrative entity can determine the minimum and maximum grant amounts to set the limits on the number of subcontractors. And they must ensure ESG-funded activities are available to non-entitlement areas using the coordinated entry system. And also the administrative entity must meet the federal ESG match requirement, which is 100% and is mentioned in prior slides. A complete application must be received no later than May 30th, 2019 by 5 p.m. Please submit one original hard copy of the application, which will include all forms 1 through 10 in a 3-ring binder with individual tabs separating the forms. Also, along with the application, please submit a USB flash drive in Excel format and also a PDF copy, which includes a copy of the complete application. I want to remind everyone that a complete application not submitted by the deadline will result in a denial of funds to your COC service area. I suggest that you see page 3 of the application and use the checklist to ensure you have completed all required forms. Let's begin reviewing each form in the application. I will give you an opportunity to ask your questions after we review the application in full. Form 1A, the funded award package. The funded applicant's Excel spreadsheet asks for the COC's ranking list for each application they recommend for funding for both the non-competitive and regional competition. You will provide the applicant's name and address, the project name and address, proposed subpopulation targeting with ESG funds, the city and county where the activities will be provided, and the dollar amount recommended for funding by activity. Form 1B is the unfunded award package. You will repeat the same process as above. However, this will be for each applicant you did not recommend for ESG funding. Form number 2, contact information. Fill in the name and address of the applicant. The authorized representative is the person named in the resolution, and the administrative fiscal representative is the contact person handling the request for funds. COC contact information, fill in the name of the COC name and include the address, phone number, email address. Also fill in the HMIS lead information, which includes the title, address, phone number, and email address. Form number 3, legislative and congressional information. This form is used to notify the state legislators and U.S. representatives when ESG awards are made in their district. Please provide legislative and congressional information for each ESG activity location. Form number 4 is the budget form. Complete the table for each activity. I just want to go over some key points. Make sure HMIS is not greater than 10% of the total allocation amount, and grant admin is not greater than the Appendix A, page 6 of the NOFA grant allocation amount. Form number 5, certification of indirect cost. The certification of indirect costs must be signed by the authorized representative. Form number 6, the payee data record or government TIN form. These forms are required to be filled out for each administrative entity receiving payment. If you are a unit of local government, please complete the TIN form. If you are a nonprofit, please fill out the payee data record. These links have been provided on application form 6. Form number 7, projected outcomes. This form is used for data collection to generate reports for the department and agency. The data is based on the projected outcomes for the emergency shelter, street outreach, homeless prevention, and rapid rehousing. Form number 8, the governing board authorizing resolution. We will review this in more detail in just a minute. And form number 9, the administrative entity compliance certification. The authorized representative named in the resolution must sign this form certifying that the funding recommendation for ESG funds meets the federal and state ESG requirements. Questions? Please use the chat balloon below to ask your questions now.
Okay, one of the questions, will there be consideration for HCD? Will there be consideration for HCD to accept an electronic submission of the application and forms rather than a paper version of the entire packet? Not at this time. Unfortunately, we can only accept the paper copy. Is the COC required to conduct a local NOFA prior to the submission of the 2019 state ESG application? If for the 2018 state ESG, the community agreed to renew existing state ESG applicants since the grant amount varied less than 20% from a prior year state grant amount. Okay, you're not required to go out and do another request for proposal, but you do need to let people know you have funding, and if somebody wants to apply, then you would have to do another rating and ranking, and then go ahead and accept the applicants.
What is the admin column on Form 1A referring to? Form 1A. So let's get back into that. 1A. General administration.
Oh, it's that way, I saw it.
So that's where you put your amount of GA.
Right. Can you give me? Okay, it looks like, I'm just trying to see if there's any more questions we can answer at this time. All right, we're going to move on to the next section, And if we haven't answered your question, we will get to it in the FAQ. Okay, I just want to go back. Someone had asked what the definition of an administrative entity is. An administrative entity means a unit of general purpose local government approved by the department pursuant to 8403, which is the state regs, to administer state ESG funds. So that's how you become an administrative entity. Okay, now we're going to cover the resolution in a little bit more detail. You are required to submit a resolution approved by your authorizing board, and it needs to be submitted with your application on the day that the applications are due. Applicants are encouraged to use the sample authorized resolution format to avoid any possible deficiencies. A deficiency may disqualify the application as being incomplete or delay the execution of the standard agreement and drawdown of funds. We've provided instructions for completing the resolution within the template. As always, the resolution must be on your letterhead, and as a reminder, don't forget to remove all the instructions, verbiage that is the template. So I encourage you to really look at the template. Our legal office is really sending back resolutions that are not following the template. So I highly encourage you to follow the template. Some key tips to remember. Paragraph A asks for the NOFA date, and the dates that are acceptable are on or about March 2019, March of 2019, and the date of the NOFA letter, which is March 29th, 2019. Don't alter the template language. On the resolution template, on Section 2 on the resolution template, enter the amount you are applying for, and we suggest you inflate this amount in case additional funds become available. You can always have a higher dollar amount of funds requested on your resolution, but never a lesser amount. So you may want to plan ahead and pad this amount. So in the past, when we get our final numbers from HUD, the amount has increased and we had to reallocate. And so in the past, everybody's amount went up. And so if your reso is the exact amount and it goes up, you're going to have to resubmit a resolution. So in order to avoid that, we suggest that you add a little bit of extra dollars there. Now let's look at the Section 4 of the resolution. This is where you will identify the authorized representative by name and or title. And as a reminder, the authorized representative identified in the resolution must sign the standard agreement and any other program documents. If you need to identify multiple parties as the authorized representative, then please keep in mind that all of those individuals must sign all the ESG documents. And don't use and/or when naming the authorized representative. This will result in the applicants going back to the board for an amended resolution. If you identify a designee as one of your authorized representatives, you must submit a letter of designation to the department showing that the designee is authorized to sign. And this may be a letter on letterhead, or ACD does have a template that's available to you. Please email the ESG inbox for a copy of the template. And again, please be sure that the ayes, nays, abstentions, and absent boxes have a number in them. Please don't leave them blank. Don't put a dash in there. It has to have a number. The person attesting the resolution can't be the person identified as the authorized representative. And at the bottom of the resolution, the approving officer must sign and print their name. And now I want to talk about the rent exception process. We've added this section in our presentation to make sure you have sufficient time to submit your request. If you are having a problem finding affordable rental units for your rapid rehousing and homeless prevention programs that meet FMR, then you can apply for a rent exception to HUD. The FMR rent exception request is made in writing to HCD. HCD will forward the request to HUD. HUD's decisions will be based on information provided in your letter. This process has been taking 6 to 9 months, so we encourage you to plan ahead for this. So we recommend that you contact your grants management unit representative as soon as possible and begin the rent exception process, because as you know, the federal regulation states that that you must meet the FMR in order to do rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. This letter should include the county's current approved Section 8 rent standards. If the Section 8 rent standards above FMR, then include the date this increase above FMR was approved, current rental vacancy rates, and the average increase in rents in your county over the past 12 months. Also, the letter should include the negative impact of lower rents. For example, low program spend-down rates, time period between program participants being granted rapid rehousing and actual finding a unit, and number of landlords that have refused to participate because rents offered were too low. Before I recap, are there any more questions that you may have? Is there a suggested amount / percentage to increase the dollar amount for the reso? No, we don't. I think last year we told you to double it, but we don't anticipate a huge dollar amount going up, but maybe 25%. 25% probably will cover it if HUD grants us any additional dollars. Can we submit a draft resolution to HCD for your review? Our resolution generally follows a template, but the county council has inserted some required elements, such as the date of the expiring for the designation of authority. Yes, you can submit a draft resolution, and we will try to get the answers for you. We do have a legal process that takes quite a bit of time. This is a new process, so I can't guarantee you that it'll get done in time for the resolution or for the application due date. So we'll try our best. So if you do have a question, please get that in as soon as possible. And send that to the ESG NOFA inbox. The Excel application does not allow you to modify or increase spacing when printing the application portion of the fields. Do not show. Is this acceptable? Okay. Give me an example on the form that you are talking about that's not working. When entering a title, it cuts off. Okay, is this on application form 1? What form is it on? Oh, form 2, okay. It cuts off. Let's see. I want to actually get this up and see what's going on. Form 2. No, next form one. 2, next one. Application title. So,
Over here, it says title.
okay. So the title, okay, can you just do all like X's and see what happens? So are you saying that if we put all the letters in and it cuts off, it doesn't wrap text? Is that what you're wanting to know, why it doesn't wrap text? Yes. Okay. We can put a request into our person that designed the form to make a wrap text for you. Oh, and also, if you want, you can just abbreviate the title if that helps. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes and then we'll recap. Okay. Please further clarify the admin column on Form 1A. Is this the AE's grant of admin up to 5%? Yes, it is. And I know if you don't give any admin to your subs, I understand, so just put you as receiving the admin cost. So that way the amounts will tie to your application. Okay, I'm just checking to see if I answered A. Okay. I'm not aware of that back and forth conversation. We'll put this on the FAQs and we'll get you a definite answer on how we're going to handle the application process this year. So here's a question. Our program operates via multi-year funding cycle, so our local NOFA that went out on as previously indicated that the application received at that time were for multiple years and awarded agencies were renewed contingent available. Would this still need to release? No, you wouldn't need to release a NOFA if you did it that way. Any other questions? Okay, I'm just going to recap now. The applications are due no later than 5 p.m. on May 30th, 2019. A complete application submitted in a 3-ring binder with tab sections and 1 USB flash drive, an Excel format, and 1 PDF copy with the application. And you know we will only accept applications through the U.S. Postal Carrier, UPS, or FedEx, and we will not accept personal deliveries. And no extensions will be granted, and all HCD funding decisions are final. This concludes our webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to email the ESG inbox at esg@hcd.ca.gov. Also, please complete the surveys that will be mailed to you regarding this webinar, and FAQs will be posted in the next couple of weeks. And again, just use the esg@hcd.ca.gov for any other questions you may have. Can you show the ESG staff contact slide? I can forward you the email exchange. Okay, does that help? You can forward the email exchange to the ESG NOFA inbox, and one of us will answer it. That would be your best. That is the best way to communicate with staff is through the ESG NOFA inbox. Okay, thank you for your time, and when will the webinar be posted? In the next week?
Probably next week.
Next week, along with the PowerPoint. If we allocated 2017 state ESG funds to the subrecipient beginning in fiscal year 18-19, is this NOFA for the continuing funds for the same revenue source? If we allocated 2017 state ESG funds to a subrecipient beginning in 18-19, is this NOFA for the continuing funds for the same revenue source? This NOFA is for anything, you can go out for an RFP proposal and get new providers, but if you did a multi-funded NOFA for, like that one applicant said, then you could continually fund those selected people. It's up to you to make that decision. Okay, thank you.